Operation Epic Fury.
President Trump just walked into France and said the quiet part out loud. The deal with Iran achieved everything we set out to accomplish. And the conflict: reopen the Strait of Hormuz and block Iran from ever getting a nuclear weapon. Then he dropped the line that made every Obama appeaser choke on their croissants. If Iran cheats, we'll probably go back to bombing them until they honor it. That's not weak man diplomacy. That is American power with a deadline, a trigger, and a spine. And right on cue, CNN, Bloomberg, and the New York Times rushed to bury the win and sell strength as a scandal. And this matters because the Strait of Hormuz is not a seminar topic for think tank frauds in Washington. It's your gas bill, it's your grocery bill, your retirement account. J.D. Vance just laid it out. Oil dropped from the 120s into the 70s because traffic already started moving again. Trump tied down the shipping lane, crushed Iran's leverage, and the market ripped higher. And that is the America First formula in plain English. Hit the enemy hard, reopen trade, and protect prosperity. And look who hates it. Barack Hussein Obama, right? Built his Iran posture around pallets of cash and fantasy paper promises. Donald Trump built his around bombs, cameras on every inch of the program, removal of enriched stockpiles, and one crystal clear consequence for cheating. Stephen Chung then blew up the leak machine by flatly saying the CNN text does not reflect the language of the actual MOU. So the same cartel that sold surrender under Obama now scrambles to smear victory under Trump. And over at Bloomberg, they're pushing a rumor. CNN's laundering spin. New York Times pretends Iran won after Iran lost militarily. And they can't stand the sight of a president who uses force with an objective and gets results. And while we're talking about real-world results instead of media fiction, let me tell you about something that grabbed my attention for the very same reason. You've probably seen the clip, Joe Rogan sitting with Mel Gibson talking about people close to him who went through serious health struggles and then saw dramatic turnarounds. Rogan brings up light-based therapies and how they impact the body at a cellular level. Gibson says it's straight the stuff works. And that got my attention. In my own life, I watched something similar with my wife. After constant discomfort and anxiety wore her down. And so I want you to check out Red Light Therapy through Jonathan Otto at myredlight.com. It's non-invasive, easy to use at home, and built for people who want practical tools, not pharmaceutical runarounds. Use NNN25 for individual items or NNN30 for bundles. When something works, you don't ignore it. You put it to work. That's myredlight.com. Remember, if you grab one, use NNN25 for individual items or NNN30 for bundles. Now, here's the detail the regime press hoped that you would miss while they played games with leaked texts. Trump said Iran lost militarily. He even mocked the script that CNN and the New York Times would run if Tehran raised a white flag. He said they would still write that Iran had a great victory. He even cited the moment that their Navy got gutted, 159 ships, and after America knocked out the last ship, the New York Times refused to cover it. That one number tells you everything. So we're going to roll the tweets because the media panic is the actual confession. Let's go to the press conference before concluding his time at the G7 summit.
And I want to thank President Macron, Bridget, his really lovely wife, fantastic person, for welcoming us to France for an extremely successful G7 summit. I would say it's one of the most successful. And this meeting could not have come at a better time. On Sunday, we reached an agreement with Iran that achieves everything we set out to accomplish, everything and much more. Ending the current conflict, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, and preventing Iran from ever obtaining a nuclear weapon. That's what it was all about. That was about 99%. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They can't develop it, buy it. They can never have a nuclear weapon. At the same time, with this announcement, or close to it, as people started to think it was going to happen when Iran was making some very positive statements, the stock market has surged to record highs, picking up thousands of points over the last short period of time, thousands of points. And oil is dropping like it has never dropped before at levels that went in numbers, down $7, down $8. They've never seen anything like that. But if we didn't do this deal, we could have dropped more bombs for another 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 years. You would never have the Hormuz Strait open. You would never have success. Your market would have, instead of going up at levels that nobody's ever seen before, would go down at levels that nobody ever saw before, maybe except for 1929 or whatever. And all the tough guys don't realize that this wasn't a 3-month deal. This was years in the making. You know why? Because I was the one that killed General Soleimani. And if I didn't kill General Soleimani, we probably wouldn't be talking right now about this deal, because he was a mad genius. They never were able to replace him. But a lot of people forget that. The tough guys, the tough guys that would drive the country right down the tubes.
So Trump says the deal gets the job done without dragging it into another endless bombing campaign, but he's also making one thing clear. If Iran cheats, the bombs come right back.
No president in history has ever been tougher on Iran than I have, and they know that. And by the way, if they don't honor the agreement, or some things aren't even mentioned in the agreement, it's a memorandum of understanding, but we have an understanding of certain things without writing it. And if they don't honor that, we'll probably go back to bombing them until they honor it. It's amazing what bombs can do.
It's amazing what bombs can do. So there's the leverage. Peace if Iran complies, force if it doesn't. Now Trump draws the contrast with Obama, saying any relief for Iran comes on merit, not pallets of cash.
They'll work closely with us to turn over the so-called enriched material that's very deep in the bowels of the earth, very deep. Nobody can get it. So it's not important that we do it quickly, but we could do it fairly quickly. When we have a chance, we'll do it. But in the meantime, we have cameras on every inch of it. Nobody can do it. And if they do, we'll hit them with Patriots, that's all. And they'll be gone. And they know that. Technical discussions on the removal of all stockpiles of enriched materials will begin immediately. We're going to start that immediately. And unlike Barack Hussein Obama, who sent Iran pallets of cash, and any relief they receive under this deal, they'll have to get based on merit. And it won't be from us. We don't have to give them anything.
So Trump just put Obama's giveaway politics on blast and said America doesn't have to hand Tehran a dime, but he does admit there's one pile of money the U.S. may have to return, and he explains why.
What the difference is between giving Iran U.S. dollars and unfreezing U.S. dollars.
Well, the unfreezing is an easy one to answer. We have taken a lot of their money, and we have their money. We have taken their money. It's not our money. It's their money. And we froze it. At a certain point in time, I guess we're going to have to give it back. If we didn't give it back, nobody would ever invest in the dollar again. If you took their money, because I thought about it, I'm not the most perfect person. I said to Scott, why do we keep their money? What the hell are we giving it back to them? But, people from lots of nations, some nations we don't agree with, they have their money. The dollar's become very strong under me. And they don't want to have a little conflict with somebody and end up having the United States just take their money. So if you do that, you really don't have a system.
So that's where it gets tricky. Trump says frozen Iranian funds are still Iran's money. Even if he'd rather keep it. Next, he turns his fire on the corrupt press, saying the media would smear him no matter how decisively Iran was beaten.
Go back to the United States and convince a skeptical American public that this deal is a
look,
win.
Here they lost militarily, okay? It's very tough because I know that no matter what, if I would go, by the way, if I'd go another 3 or 4 weeks, those same people that are critical would say, he went too long, he should have done, no matter what. If they raised the white flag of surrender, and if they said, praise be to Allah, Donald Trump is the greatest president ever. We totally concede, we totally give up. This war is over, we have failed. The New York Times and CNN and a couple of others, they're not all that dishonest, they'd say, Iran had a great victory, okay? They practically do that. You know, it's amazing. When we knocked out their last ship, they had 159 ships. When we knocked out the last ship, the Times refused to do a story on it. They said, why wouldn't you? They don't have a Navy, and you don't want to do a story on it. They don't have an Air Force. You don't want to do a story. We need a fair press. And that's why they're all doing so badly, because they lost credibility. When I win in a landslide and I had 93% bad press, they take good stories about me and make them bad. But the only reason that happened is because they have so little, the media has so little credibility that the people voted for me. 93% of the stories on network, ABC is horrible. I think ABC is the worst. NBC is terrible. And CBS is terrible. CNN, obviously. And I never get good stories, no matter what I do. I could do the greatest thing. I won't get good stories on this. I'll get it from fair media. I'll get it from all over the world. They're writing good. But no matter what I do, I'm going to get bad press. I know that. Now, if I did the opposite, if I went out and continued to bomb them for another 4, just bomb the hell out of them, I'd get bad press on that. No, there's nothing I can do. But what this does is it allows the ships to go. If we keep bombing, those ships won't be going. And you're talking about $500, $600, $700 million a day. It's a lot of money. A lot of money. That's why the world is okay. It's liquid. It's fine. Also, we run out of reserves in about 4 weeks. You know, there are reserves all over the world, and we would really run out. And there'll be a time when you wouldn't be able to get it. And you want to see bedlam? So for all those so-called geniuses that want to show me how smart they are, ask them why didn't they blow up General Soleimani. Ask that of the general and a couple of other people that I like very much, but boy, are they wrong.
And we're getting some breaking news just in that the Memorandum of Understanding has just been signed. I'm going to get you the latest on that. Let me see. This just came in. President Trump leaving his dinner. And let's see here. We have, okay. President Trump has just signed the deal, the Iran peace deal in Versailles. Before boarding the motorcade, it's signed. Here it is.
Hey, you just signed? You
Did
signed
you
the deal?
sign the MOU?
It's signed, yeah.
It's signed?
We signed it in Versailles. I just signed it.
The stories made in Versailles?
So that's what we have right now. That's just breaking. The MOU has been signed. We have more details on that MOU. Let's go ahead and get that for you so we can continue this report. History being made. And of course, you just saw President Trump taking aim at the media. He says the so-called tough guys are missing what this was years in the making. We could have dropped more bombs for another 2 years, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And that's the heart of the case. Strength first, then terms that stopped the shooting and reopened Hormuz. But now reports about the MOU are raising eyebrows, especially one phrase about ending the war on all fronts. Now, President Trump has already stated that the MOU that was released is not correct, so take this with a grain of salt. That Tehran, Washington, and their allies declare an immediate and final end to the war on all fronts. All sides pledge to no hostile action and to refrain from threats. Both pledge to reach a final agreement within 60 days. The U.S. lifts the naval blockade on Iran immediately upon signing. The U.S. pledges to withdraw its forces from the region within 30 days of the final agreement. Iran works to resume ship movement within 30 days, including removing obstacles. Washington will help rehabilitate and develop Iran's economy with regional partners and end sanctions on an agreed timeline. Iran reiterates it will never produce nuclear weapons, with the fate of enriched material deferred to the final deal. Both maintain the status quo until then. Iran keeps its current nuclear program. The U.S. adds no sanctions or forces. That's a curious line. Iran keeps its current nuclear program. Washington exempts Iranian oil and related banking from sanctions. Washington freezes frozen Iranian funds with final negotiations beginning once implementation guarantees are met. The final agreement is locked in by a binding UN Security Council resolution. 2 words that just detonated in Jerusalem sit in point 1 all fronts. That's according to Bloomberg. So the leaked language sets off alarms fast, and here comes the pushback from Trump's team. Stephen Chung says the text CNN got does not match the real memorandum. Stephen Chung, he says the supposed text of the MOU that was obtained by CNN does not reflect the language of the actual MOU. So the leak war is already underway, with the corporate media pushing one version and Trump world calling it false. Next, J.D. Vance says the full text is coming soon and lays out what the deal actually does.
Pakistanis who have been helpful in mediating this agreement with the Iranians. They've asked us not to release the full text for a little while. That it'll come out at the latest on Friday. We're actually trying to push them to get it out today because we want to tell the American people what's in this deal. It's fundamentally a good deal for the American people, but it's also very simple, and I've also seen some misrepresentations about it. So in short, what it does is it opens the Strait of Hormuz immediately. This is why you see oil prices down in the 70s from a high in the 120s, is because you're seeing the strait already open its traffic to the flow of oil and gas. It also provides a framework whereby if the Iranians give us what we need on stopping the funding of terrorism, on no longer pursuing a nuclear weapon, then they can get some benefits, be reinvited into the world economy. And when I say benefits, I'm talking about sanctions relief on their economy. We've destroyed their nuclear program, but one of the things the president is trying to do is give them the incentive not to try to rebuild that program for the long haul, so that it's not just us. We don't have to worry about Iran having a nuclear weapon for the next couple of years, but for the next generation, that generation doesn't have to worry about it either.
So, the moral verdict lands right there in Trump's own contrast, and it's devastating. Devastating for Barack Hussein Obama, for CNN, and for every foreign policy fraud still clinging to the old script. Trump said that technical talks to remove all stockpiles of enriched material start immediately. He said any relief comes only on merit, and it won't be from us. Then he drove the knife in. Unlike Barack Hussein Obama, who sent Iran pallets of cash, Trump put a boot on Tehran's neck and made compliance the price of survival. And that's why Stephen Chung's denial matters so much. CNN and Bloomberg needed a fake surrender document because they can't market the truth. The truth that Trump forced Iran to the table from total American strength, reopened Hormuz, and kept the bombing option loaded on the table. So here's where this stands tonight. Donald Trump did what weaklings swore could not be done. He forced a hostile regime to choose between compliance and destruction. He reopened the Strait of Hormuz, he hammered oil lower, he sent markets higher, and he did it without replaying the humiliation of the former Biden administration's drift or Barack Hussein Obama's bribery circus. He did it the way America used to win, through leverage, force, and clarity. Now comes the next step, full transparency on the actual MOU and absolute enforcement from the Trump administration. No freelancing by leak artists, no sabotage by CNN, no narrative laundering by the New York Times. If Iran violates 1 inch of the deal, Trump already drew the line in words nobody can twist. The bombing resumes. So share this segment with the people still swallowing regime press garbage. Drop your take below and keep your eyes on Friday, because when the real text lands, a whole lot of media liars are going to get caught with their fingerprints all over another Trump victory. And make sure you stay connected with us here at the Next News Network by texting raw feed to 844-840-4963 so you are on the inside track of the latest news when the algorithm or the notifications from YouTube decide otherwise. We have so many wins to celebrate right now. Why don't you celebrate with us? America 250 gear in the merch shop, in the shelf below this video, or at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.
The system controls information. Information control is power. I want you to see this. Truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.